What's up, Rockstars? How's it going? Today I have a ton of Kickstarter updates to go over. Literally, there are quite a few, as well as some big Kickstarters going on, like Massive Darkness 2 we need to discuss, and of course, everybody's favorite drama. So let's go ahead and get started. We got a lot to cover, so let's not waste any time. As always, I'd like to start out with a huge thank you to my patrons and YouTube members. Without their financial support, this channel would not be what it is today. They are in large part thanks to everything that you see here. They help with purchasing all this equipment, a lot of the product that I show. Everything is through them and not the corporations and the companies and the game developers that I'm supposedly critiquing, so that I can freely say what I want, when I want, and exactly how I feel. So if you appreciate that, then be sure to just be mindful that it's all thanks to them and that I'm truly, truly appreciative of it. This channel would not be the same without them. Additionally, anybody out there that's commenting or liking, subscribing, sharing, merch store, Amazon link, pausing that ad blocker, you guys hear this all the time, and it's just because I really am appreciative. Thank you so much. But I don't want to waste any more time. I want to go ahead and get into it. So let's go ahead and focus now on the Kickstarters and less on just giving ourselves a pat on the back for being awesome people. Alright, so first up we have Core Clash here, and it's sitting at about 68,000, almost 69,000. Now, if you recall, last time I was here, I think it was around in the 50s, right? So it hasn't really gone up much. It's just kind of been chilling in the middle of a campaign that's very typical. We're going to be looking at some kit tracks here in a second, and when we look at that, I'll show you that kind of U-shape that's typical. The only way to fight that is by doing add-ons, where you're essentially upping the pledge amount so that the people you have pledge more. That's why Command does what they do. So you shorten the campaign typically. Campaigns are a little bit shorter, and then you fill that lower spot in. Either you get rid of it and you have a very short campaign and a long pledge manager, or you stay in Kickstarter a little bit longer, but you have those add-ons. Core Clash has not had that, so it's doing that typical U-shape. I don't think that's necessarily anything to worry about. However, I would have suspected, I think most of us would have, that it would have gone higher than 68,000 even day one. So why would it maybe not? I think part of it is the lack of complexity. It's a very kind of bare bones, baby's first skirmish game from what I can tell. It's definitely, has less mechanics at play than any of my other skirmish games. Definitely less units to choose from for army building than any of my skirmish games. Definitely the most limiting, and bare bones map with the least amount of terrain than any of my skirmish games. So it's very much the light version of that. It's kind of like the small world of area control, right? Where it's like, this is very straightforward stuff. That can still be fun, but I don't think it's necessarily what everybody expected. So beyond that, though, let's talk about the campaign page, because I like to kind of critique even campaign pages here. Now, one thing I will note is to get to the stretch goals, I have to scroll a lot. Now, while I'm scrolling, I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about what I'm talking about here. The first few days, the first 2 days are really big on a campaign, and you want to show your game right up front and center, right? Afterwards, what you want to do is you actually want to bring those stretch goals from lower to higher up. Right? We're still at the stretch goals, by the way. Because at that point, here's finally the stretch goals. Literally, the only thing underneath this, by the way, is like shipping details and then a little timeline thing. So it's pretty crazy how far low this is. Anyway, you get a ton of backers the first few days, and then you get a lot typically in the very end. So after those first 2 days, you're not really gaining a whole lot of new backers. Instead, it's just the backers you have, either upgrading from $1 or upgrading for add-ons. Now, how do you get the dollar backers to upgrade outside of that? Often it's to help with stretch goals. That's kind of why they're advertised the way that they are. So you want to bring those up to the higher part of the campaign page so that people can see what's currently happening with it, because your game isn't new anymore. Now it's 2 weeks old on Kickstarter, so it's been there a while, and you're seeing, okay, what's the most recent stuff now? In fact, oftentimes I think it's nice to list it in order like this. That's just fine, but bring this part up above it so that people are seeing, here's what's next. Yeah, a lot of times it's great to say, here's what was recently unlocked, and so you're not just showing like a silhouette, right? And then here's where we're working towards now. That's normally, I think, the best thing you can do. After 2 days, bring the stretch goals back up. Additionally, if we look at their updates here, we notice that they had an update on July 30th, and then they waited until August 5th for another update. And that's just far too long. I think when you're on Kickstarter, when you're actually at the campaign and it's running live, you should have an update a day. The update should be something meaningful too. Shouldn't just be a little kind of paragraph that's not trying. Now, I don't mean meaningful as in you have to, go crazy, but you can highlight a unit and just talk about a unit, or you can talk about just the terrain, or you can just talk about the logistics, or you planning it, or share some early prototype, images of drawings and stuff that you did. There are a ton of things you can do just to be in backers' minds, just to be out there in the news, just for something new to happen, so that people are like, oh, look, this is new, especially if you're not unlocking a stretch goal a day. I think it's just important to have people have a reason to come here and get invested in that. A lot of backers back a campaign just based off the campaign experience alone, and then the game's almost a bonus. I have had some wonderful campaign experiences, and I know others have. I know some of you have, and it's a real thing. So ideally, you have way more updates than this. You're just talking a lot. You're driving conversation in either the comments here or in the comments total. And then again, I think that stretch goals just need to move up a little bit. Okay, now for Massive Darkness, I'm going to start out a little weird. Normally I go to the campaign page like that. This one I'm actually going to start at Kick Track to set the stage, and then we're going to go to the campaign page. So here is Massive Darkness 2, and you can see right now they're at about $1.5 million funded, which is fantastic. Disregard this trending. It's not correct. It never is. So essentially you notice this big uptick first 2 days, and then it kind of drops off, and it'll get lower and go up higher. And if you look at Massive Darkness 1, you can kind of see that, right? All Kickstarters do this. The only time you can increase it significantly like this is by either lucking out and having somebody cover your game that has good traction that people didn't know about, though ideally you have those day one and you did better at getting the word out on your game. The other most common way to do it is through add-ons. So typically you have an expensive expansion that people really like and are enjoying and want. And so you'll see that uptick as people increase their pledges. Otherwise, it gets pretty low, and sometimes it'll even be negative. And that's honestly fairly normal and pretty common. So it's not necessarily weird for it just to kind of chill for a little bit. What they've done recently, if you notice, this was 31 days with these kind of upticks spread out, right? These are, I almost guarantee, are add-ons. And so now if you notice on the new one, it's 22 days. So you shorten the campaign, and then within that campaign, you still have those add-ons or some other way of doing it. But either way, and maybe you shorten it even more. That's where you get those 14-day, 7-day campaigns with the long pledge managers. And then you have, just these big add-ons that kind of increase it in the middle. What's important here, what I'm going to note here, is that on the third day, right, that's now complete for this campaign, they made $90,000 more dollars and got 762 backers. So that's important, 90,762. If we compare that to Massive Darkness 1, it actually got 96,855 backers. Now, why the disparity? Why did they actually get more in the old campaign versus the new campaign? Now, this is a big deal because this is several years different. This is several years apart. There are way more people on Kickstarter now. There are way more people doing Come On Kickstarters now. On average, their Kickstarters make more than they ever did. Zombicide Season 1, I don't even believe broke 1 million. If it did, it wasn't very much. Like, seriously, it was not what you would think is a success today. If a Zombicide made as little as Zombicide Season 1 did, it'd be a wash. It'd be ridiculous. More people are on Kickstarter, and in general, your numbers are going up. And honestly, they should. It makes sense, especially a number 2, especially a sequel, right? Because at that point, even if it's a 1.5, you have the people that have played the game and enjoyed the game ideally and want the new stuff, plus the people who have heard a lot about it and then want more. That's how you get Madara. That's how you get Tenaris Adventures or Arena of the Contest, right? Or even Frosthaven from Gloomhaven. You get these games and people get it, and word of mouth spreads, and suddenly there's this more people aware of your stuff. And like, wow, that's a cool Kickstarter game. I'll have to look at that. Oh, hey, there's a sequel on Kickstarter. I'm going to go back it. So it's almost a given that you should be higher. But here they are and they're not. Now, their first day was, right? But, and we don't know where it's going. But I do find it interesting that by the third day, they're actually less than the first campaign. Now, let's try and figure out why. Okay, so here's Massive Darkness 2, and again, it's still doing great. 12.5 thousand people happily backing it at 1.5 million. Well, actually, there's probably about 12,000 happy backing it, and 576 people that are kind of and then like 3 people that are like, but besides the point. So let's go ahead and look at it. I don't think it's the gameplay. In fact, I think they have pretty much improved on every part of the game that I had an issue with. Now, that doesn't mean it's perfect, right? I think combat resolution still probably could get a little bit quicker, but it's definitely an improvement. I think the class things are good. All that's great. So I don't think it's that. I think it's the shift in theme. And it's not even so much the theme they chose, it's just different than 1. And so we're going to kind of compare 1 to 2 a little bit. So in fact, let's go ahead to 2. So let's go to 1. Here's Massive Darkness 1. And as you can see, here are the main core box characters. Very, very fantasy. You've seen these guys a ton of times. You've seen the Elf Ranger how many times? The dwarf with a hammer, come on. The barbarian with an axe and no shirt, again. Gandalf the Grey, a wizard that's old with a staff. The warrior with 2 blades, and then the kind of rogue thief chick. Like, seriously, this is like Dungeons and Dragons. I just made my first character kind of, by the books. And it's very, very traditional fantasy. And in fact, I've told you a little bit about my friend Chris said, is a power backer and backs tons of Kickstarters and puts lots of money into it. He bought 2 copies of Massive Darkness. He bought 1 copy just for the miniatures for D&D, and he bought another copy to actually play. If he doesn't like the game, or he's not interested in the game, he'll buy 1 copy just for the minis and literally throw away the box. It's how I got my second box of Descent, because he was just going to throw it away. All he wanted was the minis out of that. So this is very much like made for D&D almost, right? You have the orcs and the goblins and the dwarf enemies that are like, again, very kind of typical. You even have the dwarf hats going on. And I remember people were upset about the hats. And trust me, if people were upset about hats on dwarves, just wait until you see Massive Darkness 2. You had the giant spider, you had the Medusa chick, the trolls, the demons, that are very kind of almost typical demon looking. It was, again, very, very much your typical thing. Here's this Cyclops. If that doesn't look like a Cyclops out of a 80s D&D, Paul Bonner painting, I don't know what is. It's very, very much by the books. It's a little stylized. You have the kind of zombicide, tiny feet, big torsos, right? But like these rat box, right? All of them look like they want to kill you. The Spear Maiden Cyclops, an amazing miniature, by the way. Loved painting her. Again, she's ready to kill you. She's actively about to make you die. All the heroes, the Hierophant. I can't stress enough how core fantasy based this was. This would not be weird in Lord of the Rings. This would not be weird in D&D. This would not be weird in any of that. Very much by the books. So you would figure 2 would be kind of the same thing, right? Like, we have a new Descent coming out, and I figure it's going to be in the same vein as Descent. Massive Darkness 2 is not that, though. It is definitely a different direction. So let's just go to the core characters for now, and we have a good picture here. Let's look at Irk here. Irk is a shaman. You can tell it's a shaman. I don't know if it's he or she, because, well, okay, actually, you can't tell because I don't even know what it is. I think it's a mere hall. I don't even know what that is. Maybe it's a thing. It's certainly not a common trope. I guess I'm assuming it's sentient, and it's sentient beetle with a sword, because nothing screams shaman like swords. I don't know. Again, if you want a shaman, you give him a staff. Right? It's very odd that they went with bright green alien beetle horned thing with a sword as a shaman. Right? Not what you would expect, especially coming from enemies that just look like this. Right? You would not assume that would be here. That it doesn't seem to be even in the same world. Right? Sir Ronan, very typical paladin. This is exactly what I would expect. Geta the Berserker, I'm assuming these are bones, but they seem to be wrapped almost like they're not. I don't know, they're huge. So I don't know. It's a little odd, but I'll give it a pass. You have the wizard, which is much more of like a witch doctor kind of wizard. It definitely has the kind of tribal bone things, which is very gigantic, horns sticking out over them and stuff like that. Passable, but again, definitely not your standard wizard. You have your rogue, which is, I think, actually fantastic, except for the Batman and Robin mask. I don't understand the superhero mask. Maybe there's Zorro, I don't know. And then the ranger, which is a centaur. Now, granted, at least it's a centaur, but it's not necessarily what centaurs aren't really typically what you would think of as a ranger. Mainly because, again, they do typically swap arrow versus sword, and I don't know, it just doesn't seem what you would expect. Anyway. Then you have these like imps, which are now these kind of squat chibi things with enlarged heads. You have the fire entities, which I think look actually the most like Massive Darkness here. The miniature looks a little bit busy for my taste, but design-wise, that's fine. You have the satyrs, which are so goofy that they have like these pug eyes that are bulging out. And then you have the very happy gargoyles, which are just... they almost look like a swipe or no swiping kind of mentality here. The dumb ones look like the stupid hyena in The Lion King, if you ask me. I can see him doing the same laugh. T-pose undead. Never do an enemy in T-pose. I don't want a miniature in T-pose ever. I don't care what I don't want it in T-pose. T-pose, if you didn't know, is the generic, I just loaded a file in Blender, and this is how it's going to be before I actually move it and make it do something. You got the skeleton mobs. This is actually pretty good. This is probably what a lot of people kind of expected. This is not bad at all. You have the fallen angel mods with like these like Deus Ex Machina kind of technology. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway. Demons, again, not too bad. The kind of weird tails are a little interesting, but whatever. I'm actually fine with that. And then you have, again, kind of ho-hum stuff. You have the Goose Michael, which, by the way, I was confused about this too. I didn't understand why he had a goose here. In case you didn't know, he has a goose up there. I Googled it. I don't know if this is true or if this is why or not. Maybe they just like gooses or swans or whatever it is. But Michaelmas, which is a British thing, I think, or a UK thing. It's not an American thing, which is why we're so confused, I guess. They eat a goose on, Archangel Michael Day. So that's a thing, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. He's got a goose. And then you have, the Cthulhu Reaper. So again, it just seems like it's not what you would necessarily expect. Going the angel and demon route and then going in it so heavily is kind of, again, just not something expected. It's very hard. Even, I think these angel minions actually look pretty good, but it's hard to imagine this guy in the same world as these. It just seems odd. Again, it's a very big tonal shift. This weird drag, I don't know what's going on with that one. Anyway, I think that's the biggest thing is people were just very surprised that it was such a shift, both in, setting, but also in just kind of theme. If you notice in here, none of these are silly. None of these are goofy. None of these make you kind of laugh or smile when you see them. They all have serious faces on. They all are like, I want to murder you. None of them are even close to being lighthearted. And then you have stuff like, actually, oh no, wait, there's a great, there's the shaman, I guess. I would almost go druid more than that. And then you have this guy. Like, do you see him belonging in this? Cause I don't. Actually, I think had this as a wallpaper at one point. It's very cool. I would never have him as a wallpaper. There's another, great one of the, well, we'll get to, yeah, legally. I'm not scared of that. He looks like he needs some help. He looks like he was dropped on the head as a baby. Again, he just looks stupid. Like, is his tongue even hanging out? Like, I can't even tell. I can see him drooling. So it's just weird. It's not what you'd expect. I don't know, it's confusing. And then you even have like the nymphs with like these bright pink hair. And then you have like this very, stylish necromancer that looks like a wizard. I don't even see her. I don't know where she is. She is right here. Which again, it just, she has literally a peacock in her hat. The theme is really hurting it for me. This guy looks super anime, which again is not really the style that I was really expecting. So coming from this and wanting more Massive Darkness, but better. We got better Massive Darkness, but we didn't get more Massive Darkness. We got something different, different flavor. We went from jalapeno pizza to Hawaiian pizza or something like that. Something messed up. People heard pie and just brought apple pie. I don't know. Anyway, I think that's why it is the way it is. I know I talked about this a lot, but I just kind of wanted to explain, I think, what a lot of people are trying to say and just being trolls about it or being silly about it or whatever. I think that's the issue, is it did not meet expectations. It's subverted expectations, as it were to say. Another thing to point out, by the way, is this has a $45 expansion plus $50 of add-ons, and it was still less on day 3. Massive Darkness 1 did not have that to get more. So it'll be very interesting. I'll be following this. I'll be letting you guys know. Right now, I'm still a backer, but if the theme doesn't get itself serious, I'm not interested in a kind of silly, lighthearted game, thematically. And if we don't think theme matters, then, you wasted a lot of time paying artists. Okay. Anyway, moving on from that. Twilight Imperium 4 is getting an expansion. You're going to get 7 new factions, 3 unique leaders for each faction, 40 new map tiles, mechs, a new ground unit with special abilities, components for 2 additional players, increase the maximum player to 8, exploration decks providing discoveries, powerful relics, new objectives, action cards, and agenda cards. It's a lot. Additionally, they released the first Twilight Codex. What this does is it's essentially new cards and it kind of like an update, right? It's kind of like a mini update that you can just print off and kind of do your thing. So I think that's also super cool. So I'll have a link down in the description below to that, so that you guys can get that if you have Twilight Imperium and you want the newest stuff. You just got to download it. I think it's going to be due Q4, by the way. Okay, next up we have Uprising Curse of the Last Emperor. This is launching August 18th. These guys are actually pretty cool. They are personal fans of the channel, so they reached out to me and let me know about it. And again, we're talking about theme. This is more my theme. This is more what I'm talking about. This is my jam. Not enough minis to get me super like, yeah, I gotta have it. But I'll tell you what, even without that, I'm still looking at it just because, again, theme is cool. Like, is that blood? Did you just crush somebody? I don't know. I want to know though. It looks actually pretty darn interesting. So it looks like they have these kind of hexes that grimdark fantasy world. That's what I want. Yes, please. A grimdark fantasy, put those together, add maybe a world in there, even an in the beginning. Yeah, I'm cool. There's an empire and chaos. You're fighting both, and they'll actually fight each other as well. And they're kind of asymmetric enemies. That sounds interesting. You're kind of conquering land and kind of expanding your empire and your territory and building defenses. Sounds kind of very 4X-y to me. I'm all about that. Going on quests, developing feats and items and stuff like that. Look, a lot of this perfect balance. Okay, get rid of the perfect, but that's cool that it has great balance. Anyway, it looks very interesting. I'm actually going to be looking into it. I do back Kickstarters that don't have minis. It's not often, but I do. I'm interested in this one for sure. Just because I think it looks neat. It looks busy though, so we'll have to see about that. It looks like a table hog. Again, that's August 18th. Neo-morphosis Infestation. There is now a link to be able to be notified on it. Again, link in the description below. You can come to this page and click the notify me on launch if you are in fact interested. Talking about it, I had mentioned this a little bit before, but they kind of explained it better now. So you're each going to have one of these kind of things, and each symbol represents a type of enemy. And you can try and fit them together where they match, and if they all match, like this one doesn't right here, right? But this one, it does. See? So each one that is touching matches. Then you can get bonuses. So you're going to try and do it where you can match it. And then also we could see like this one could have been swapped with this one, perhaps, except this one doesn't have a red, right? So this one kind of had to be there to match the red there. Unless maybe you moved it to where the red was up there and then you matched the orange, which looks like it's in the middle here. So yeah, anyway, you're trying to match that because you get bonuses. How do you get bonuses? Well, it's the two that are on either side of this. So they have to match. So notice these symbols don't match, so no bonus. These do match, and then you add the pluses. So that's a +1 to accuracy or damage or something like that. These match, and again, there's a +1, it's a +1 to defense, just against this type of enemy and just against this type of enemy. So you're going to try and be, I guess, gauging the types of enemies you need to deal with the bonuses that you can potentially get. My assumption. That's just one of the different changes that they did. Seemed kind of interesting, but I can actually explain it now before I could just show it. This is cool. Okay, so first of all, Joan of Arc 1.5. The Pledge Manager will be open until October 31st, 2020, so expect me to keep talking about how you can late back it. That being said, the campaign page is back. I forgot how this even looked like. I kid you not. I had not seen the campaign page in so long. I had almost forgotten about. I forgot this dude was a thing. I was like, what am I even getting anymore? I literally didn't know. It's that funny. Oh, by the way, Massive Darkness, this is a succubus. She's wearing nothing as opposed to your succubus, which is wearing a lot. Not saying this one's necessarily better. It's just very weird to see a fully dressed succubus. The wyvern here, look at this guy. He's like grabbing a dude. Very cool design there. Anyway, yeah, the page is back up. If you forgot what you're getting, you can now look at it again and look at some Titanic Knights. All right, moving on. Oathsworn Pledge Manager, open until August 31st. I highly recommend this game. It is a very, very fun game. I had just recently played it again. And when I did, I actually got to fight a new enemy. I got to fight this worm guy here. And I was eaten. So I'm not going to spoil too much, but needless to say, I was going around the map in this guy's stomach. So some crazy crap can happen. And you have to... okay, so we'll say just that... if you've seen Guardians of the Galaxy 2, you remember when he gets inside of the giant worm thing, he's trying to stab from the inside? That was me. Anyway, a very, very cool mechanics, very cool bosses, great gameplay, cool setting, grim dark fantasy. Again, that's what I'm all about. That's my jam. That's what I like. Yeah, if you haven't gotten in on this, you might want to check it out. I highly suspect that once you see other people playing it, you're going to hopefully come back to Kickstarter again with it. All right, moving on along, Reichbusters by Mythic Games. They are doing a great job. So for the most part, most Mythic games have had a 1.5. Let's just face it, it's been a thing. Most every game they've made, they've needed a 1.5 to further balance and kind of correct things. Now they're trying to stop that, and they're trying to stop it after Reichbusters for the most part, where they don't even need to do this. However, with this, they are trying to do a revised rulebook, game aid booklet, mission booklet, revised cards, all the errata, stuff like that. They're calling it a 1.1, not a 1.5. I'd call it a 1.2, 5.3, 0.6. I don't care. There's some fundamental game changes, especially around the looting system, that's very different. So you might want to take a look at it. If you have Reichbusters, like I do back there, you'll definitely want to kind of look into this and the new hero cards. And I'm assuming it's going to be proofread better than the oof that they did there, because that's an oops. I'm sure it is. Anyway, that's cool that they're providing that. They are going to be shipping this with the, well, they'll be shipping it to everybody, but if you got sleeves, they'll be shipping it with the sleeves. So I think that's kind of a smart thing to do on their part. And awesome that they're providing that for free. That's good on them. Moving right along, Bloodborne posted every miniature in their tray, and there's some good things and some bad things. The bad things are lighthearted, but only sort of. You'll see me rage when I see it, because I can't help but rage. So here's the core box. You can see a lot of these are actually pretty big. If you look at even these three people spaced out like that, that's definitely got to be bigger than the three we got in Tainted Grail, right? The space in between them, I think, shows that. So you can see each one looks pretty good. It's in the kind of the clear plastic trays. I prefer black trays, but that's all right. For the most part, it seems like it makes sense on where each one is. All the heroes are there. And you can see the size on some of these are actually pretty darn impressive. And it looks like, for the most part, they're being stored well. I did see, oh, that's later, a bent sword even in their pictures here. So we'll take a look at that as well. Some more heroes down here. And it's another picture of that. Look how big that spider is, by the way. That is huge. You see, this is a person. That's the spider. So that's pretty darn big. That's impressive. And you see, a lot of these guys are actually pretty large. Yeah, I still can't believe that's a spider. One of the easiest boss battles I found in the game. But anyway, again, just kind of typical stuff. You can see spots where you can have cards and stuff. This! Oh! Why? No! No! Come on! No! No! Back, come on. What is this? What is this crap? I have to store this stuff on my shelf. Do you see space on this shelf for one mini to take up this much space? Put it in a smaller box. I don't care that I'm spending money on a box this big. Do it. In fact. Okay. This is Sally. Now, she's a little broken, right? I still haven't contacted them about this, but I did take pictures. Look how big it is. Even this is bigger than I would like. She has her cards in here, so I guess that's fine. But seriously, no bigger than this. What is that? Sorry, I don't know why they do it. I don't get it. I don't. Make it smaller. Don't waste space. This is prime real estate. Anyway, there's a pig here. So that's cool. Yeah, these guys were trolls. Look how big he is. Oh, it looks awesome. Honestly, I'm impressed a little bit. Okay, here's that curved sword. You can see the swords there. little curved. This one might be a little curved too. It's kind of hard to tell at the angle. And that almost looks like it's bent right there. Do you see right at the tip there, right above my pointer? Maybe I can even zoom in on that. That looks, whoa, too much. Oh my gosh, where am I? Okay, hold on. Yeah, see, that looks bent to me. So hopefully, maybe they can fix that. I don't know. And maybe it's supposed to be maybe it's like that. I'd have to check. Honestly, when I was fighting her, she was teleporting around, and I attacked her in the back mostly anyway, because she was trying to kill me. So anyway, yeah, there's some crazy shaped miniatures here. So they did have to go kind of wonky on the vacuum trays. So anyway, just wanted to share that with you. There's a lot there that's looking like it's coming along pretty nicely. Wolfenstein. Support packs. They now let you buy just the miniatures. Their Hips miniatures are fantastic. They are very good quality. Very, very good. And I've shown them on the channel a few times. I've sent some to my patrons, so they've seen them and they're excited about it. Seriously, great quality stuff. So it looks like you can get 56 of these models unassembled for $35. Cheaper shipping too, because it's just on trays, so they're flat, so it's probably like that much. Like it doesn't take up a lot of space, which is nice. And it looks like you can get pretty much all of them. All the All-Stars, Han Gross, even the 3D Train pack. You can get that as well, which is cool. They're showing some improvements. This was the prototype version that like I got, for instance. And you can see how much crisper the letters are, which I think is awesome. But looks like quality stuff. I like it. Even like the boot just seems a little bit kind of more natural to me. So that's nice to see. They did a dice tower. I wasn't aware they were doing a dice tower. That's cool. I could use another dice tower. So anyway, lots of cool looking stuff there. And seriously, it's a great game. I view it as almost like Zombicide ++. I would play that over Zombicide quite often, actually. Not all the time. I still like Zombicide, but quite often. Okay, this is Either Fields, and we're going to look at, first of all, a week delay because that happened. How that's just a week delay is darn impressive, I can tell you that much. That's a flood and a half. That's dang. I will allow you the week. Okay, so let's look at some sun-dropped miniatures. Honestly, they've gotten really good at the sun-drop. Still not for me because I enjoy painting them, actually. Like when I painted the Knight Errant, I really enjoyed that. I need to paint another one here soon. But yeah, I think I don't like Aster for a lot of things, or Easter, or however you pronounce it. I think their manufacturing is hit or miss, and mostly hit, but some of the misses are really bad. Look at the detail on that wood. That looks great. But their sun drop is like top tier. I've seen some other companies try. It's not as good. This is really good stuff. The only issue I have with it is you don't get to, so whenever I paint them, I fill in the gaps. And I'll show you an example of that. Look at the chain. It's a good chain. Always look for the chain. And the ridges on that gear, looking good. Right here. So here's, Mr. Popper the Penguin. And you can see right here, his face was pushed in there, has this nice big kind of gap here. It's an unfortunate miniature design, in my opinion. You can see kind of the hat as well, a line right up there. So that's one of the times where I wouldn't like an Easter. Like, I think they did bad on this miniature. They shouldn't have had it be that obvious. They should have tooled it to where it fit better, in my opinion. And then the wash kind of expounds on that, which is unfortunate. Still a cool mini. But yeah, I mean, these, you can see how good these look. These look great. Even when they're blurry. No, you can see it. Look fantastic. So imagine that painted. Oh, it's going to be awesome. I'm excited. I'm excited to try this game. I hope I like it, because I like the minis. All right, moving on from that. Almost done. So AEG is purging pledges now that the campaign is over. It's funny. I contacted them on Twitter, and I actually really liked kind of what the game was like. It looked like a good pirate game, and I bet it is. I'm not saying it's a bad game, but it's not. The company kind of sucks. So, well, where's the proof in that? Well, let's go ahead and start taking a look at some stuff, because thankfully, Internet's loose, and I'm not reading 12 pages, okay? But we'll look. So, essentially, this guy said, hey, so I was posting some criticism, and now suddenly my pledge shows is refunded, and I'm no longer part of this campaign. I can't comment anymore, anything like that. Right? Well, what's up with that? Well, Terms and conditions. By pledging to this project, you agree to conduct all public interactions via Kickstarter communication channels with this project and our team and other backers in a positive manner. Harassment, name-calling, or attempts to inject inappropriate content into the public communication channels for the project will result in the cancellation of your pledge with a full refund and your ejection from the campaign. We want the communication channels of this campaign to be a friendly, positive place for a community to gather and discuss the campaign, ask questions, and provide input. AEG reserves the right to cancel any pledge with a full refund at any time for any reason. In other words, speak negatively about AEG, no soup for you. So, let's look at some examples. Here is somebody who has now canceled after the campaign has completed, which means it's not possible on their end. It has to be done by AEG. And, well, what do you know? They said, what the bleep would I buy promo cards? And then somebody said, it's your choice. And then they said, can't really call them promo, though. Apparently that means you're kicked. You can't do bleeps. This is a positive, family-friendly, we're all happy here channel, apparently. I don't know, that seems kind of odd, right? And you see here that they commented on a YouTube channel saying, I just said that in AG, cancel my pledge, losers. Can't handle criticism. I would actually agree with that last part. I think it's pretty loserish to not have people talk bad about you. And I say that because I also put stuff on the internet, and some people don't like me. I know, I don't know why you wouldn't like me, but some people really don't like me. And they tell me as much. And I've let them say it. I disagree with them typically. I don't think I'm terrible, but, yeah. There's a guy that constantly thinks I'm actually, like, secretly, like, he's figured it out, like, a flat earther, like, he's figured it out, like, I'm actually being paid by Kaman. And you show him, like, the Kaman is evil video I did, and he's like, nope, he was paid. He's working with them. Trust me, I'm not. But he believes he has, and he says it all the time. I'm not going over trying to, like, get people to ban him from Facebook groups so he stops saying it every time my name's mentioned. It sucks, but I'm not about to do that. It's silly. On a mission with 1,450 people who pledged $5 merely to access Pledge Manager. So when AEG thanked everybody for funding, they specifically named the pledge tiers, and they didn't just say thanks to all of our backers. They said thanks to Legendary, and thanks to this, and thanks to that. They listed the actual pledges that were more than $5, which is kind of a jerk move. Makes you look kind of like an a-hole a little bit. Or like Corporate Commander or something like that. So they only named the pledge. Okay, I just explained that, deckhanded up. And, of course, this is the guy who said that he is no longer there. So he mentioned these things, and then he was kicked from the group, essentially. Which, I mean, I'm not one of those people that instantly scream, like, censorship is bad all the time. But this kind of heavy-handed forcing people out of your campaign because they said something as mild as, hey, you forgot to thank the almost 1,500 people that still gave you $5 and will give you more in the Pledge Manager. Which is kind of unfortunate. And then, yeah, so then here they said, we don't discuss community moderation with anyone but Kickstarter Trust and Safety Team. Except when you post it here and ask them to include your screening. This is funny. I think it's great. It's almost like they don't know, like, the left hand's doing something the right hand isn't, right? Maybe the right hand's kicking people and the left hand's like, we don't do things. Which is funny. And again, there's tons of examples of this. People, it looks like they've been looking through it. I'm not going to go over it all. It's just, I think, first of all, that's some mild freaking criticism. Trust me, look at Kaman's page. I guarantee you'll see worse. Look at most pages. I think you'll see worse. When neo-morphosis comes on, I guarantee Darkgate Games is going to get worse criticism than that. If you can't handle that, you need to be out the internet, as far as I'm concerned. It's just, I don't know. I think people should be able to have their opinions and share it. Ideally, if you're such a great company and people love your stuff so much, other people will defend you. All right? You want to know how I found out about that guy saying that I'm working for Simon? Another person was like, I was like telling this guy, no, you know, King of Average isn't like that. He's not trying to just sell you stuff, and he doesn't get commission off that kind of stuff, and he's not working with these game companies in that way. And I didn't have to do that. He did it because ideally people kind of know the thing I'm doing here. So I don't know. It just seems bad. I don't know if it's a Barbara Streisand effect because now I'm talking about it, and then now you guys know, and then you guys are going to talk about it, and whatever. Moving on. Okay, look at this. This is cool. This was something somebody painted, which was really impressive. It was by Johnny McNabb. Johnny McNabb did this, and he did, I thought, a pretty good job. He was just watching one of my videos goofing off and put me with a lopsided a crown. Now it's all stylized and crazy, but I'll tell you what, that's a pretty good looking guy, right? I think so. Anyway, I wanted to share that, mainly because I wanted to say, if you guys remember, I do have a card in Oathsworn, and I remember actually debating with them, like, hey, is it appropriate? Should we not? Because they were like, we would want to. They actually approached me, like, we would want to do this, but we understand if you think that would, like, encroach on your image or something like that. I'm like, you know, people either trust me or they don't. You guys either trust me or you don't. And at some point, you're going to have to pick whether you do or not, I guess. I do have a card there, and I want people to tell me how I die. I want to know every death I have in that game. So if you get Oathsworn and you get my character and you have him die or do any kind of cool story, let me know. Seriously, I would love to start sharing those or compile those, or if nothing else, read them. I just think it'd be great to all the kind of deaths and heroic actions that failed. All that would fit me, I think, quite well. So anyway, I just want to end on that. I think that was great, and I appreciate him sharing that with me. It made me smile. It kind of made my day. Honestly, guys, that's it. That's all I had for you. I wanted to end on a good note. I don't know if seeing me is a good note, but here I am anyway. I really enjoy doing these videos for you guys. I really do. It takes a lot to read. Updates are long, and I have followed so many, because I have to follow campaigns I don't even back, which takes a lot to even track it down and keep track of and keep up with, and I'm sure I missed something, but I hope you found this video helpful. I hope you found it entertaining, and I hope you come out of this video saying, I'm glad I spent the time watching that video. If not, let me know. Let me know how I can improve. If you did, let me know so I know I didn't waste my time. Either way, guys, thanks so much. I appreciate it, and I will talk to you guys again early next week for some Sankokushin and Primal news specifically. I have things to share and images to show. So stay tuned for that. If you're not subscribed, to do that. But YouTube doesn't care about subscriptions. Click the bell icon. Seriously, YouTube is dumb. And even then, sometimes I've had people say I was not notified of this video. So do what you can to see that, because I really want to share that info with you. It's got me excited. So I'm excited to share it with you guys. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye.